Welcome to the Survivor Reelfoot Lake reunion show. we have we have most of everyone from the cast joining us. We have Amos, we have Jared, Jalen, Stephanie, Travis, Desiree, and Evan. So what I wanted to start with first is talking with Jared a bit.
Let's see. What's his name? I forgot his name.
God, I can't remember the name.
I wish his name. The J guy.
How to be this funny guy who's running around doing ridiculous things and just having fun.
Yeah! Stephanie's a clown.
My game, I know it was super wacky, I know there were ridiculous things that were happening.
You're so paranoid.
Bad, I always overthink.
You're getting gray hair.
I said this whole game, I want to be Malcolm, I want to be Spencer, I want to be Jason Siska. But when I kicked it into gear, I knew exactly how to get to the end.
Jared wins immunity!
Jared wins immunity.
Yes!
Jared, safe at Tribal Council, guaranteed a spot in the final two.
I've been pretty careful about what people think of me as they're walking out the door.
Winner of Survivor Reelfoot Lake, Jared. Congratulations.
But I really did enjoy it. I'm glad I'm here, trying to have fun and play the game very hard at the same time.
Jared, congratulations.
Thanks.
You came in first. You won by a vote of 5-3, and becoming the first winner of Reelfoot Lake. And of course, I mean, the first question I think anyone's asking is, how does it feel to win?
It was super awesome because I was freaked out when we first went out there, and the night before, we all stayed in Amos's house, and there was no cell phone service. There was this sort of like panicky feeling, but it was super awesome to win. I sort of like, as cliche as it is, sort of grew as a person because I accomplished this thing that I wanted to accomplish and was difficult to accomplish, but I did it. So it's super satisfying. Yeah.
All right, and then we also have Desiree, who's our runner-up.
Last girl right here.
Woo! Girls rule. And I'm the only girl who made it. I just want to say that.
Last girl standing, as she would always say. So Desiree, I mean, you came so close. You were only 2 votes off from Jared. So, what do you think of how you played? Are you proud of how far you made it?
Yeah, I'm proud of how I played. I guess it was fun, and I'm not mad or anything. I'm not sour about Jared winning 2 votes away. I mean, he deserved it, so I'm glad I at least got second place. I mean, that's a great accomplishment, I think.
So, is there anything differently that you think you could have done to maybe get an extra vote or 2? What's that?
No, looking back at the last episode, I don't really think there's anything I could have said or did to change anybody's minds from what they chose. So, I mean, it is how it is.
Okay, so I want to go back to Jared and ask you won the final immunity. You had the decision to either take Jalen or Desiree to the final 2. You take Desiree, and of course you end up winning. But why did you just ultimately decide to not take Jalen?
I think I had a shot against either of them, and either of them had a shot against me. But I think it would have, if I were to have lost or won, I would have wanted to not lose to Jalen, because Jalen I would have lost to because he outplayed me. And I didn't want that to happen. If I lost to Desiree, I could have been she's just nicer than me, something like that. So I think it would have been rougher on me to lose to Jalen because I didn't want to think, he played better than me, so I lost, as opposed to, I could justify it better in my head if it was Desiree. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wait, so that brings us to Jalen.
I didn't come here to make brothers and sisters. I didn't come here to make friends. I came here to win.
I didn't come here to make friends.
I'm not here to make friends.
I'm not here to make friends.
I ain't here to make no friends.
I'm not here to make friends.
I didn't come here to make friends with 24-year-olds.
I didn't come here to make friends. This is indeed a game.
If you don't like me, don't even waste my time because I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win.
Good God, Brooke. This is a competition. This is not America's Next Top Best Friend.
This is flavor of love, not flavor of friendship.
I'll do whatever it takes to get to the end.
I didn't come on the show to interact with my fellow designers. I came on the show to win.
That is so typical, so cliche of an answer.
You came so close, and then you get voted out right before Final Tribal. How did you feel to not make it to the final two?
I made big moves because I know that big moves win Survivor. I just should have made big moves with a better attitude because that would have helped me win the game.
Do you think people like see you as a villain? Is that how you came on to be?
I could have been nicer, and I apologize to anybody that I offended who played the game. But at that point, it was like, when you're in the game, it's so different. When you watch it, some of the stuff I did was like, oh dang, that's so savage. Like, did you really just do that? And I was 17 at the time. I turned 19 next month, and I have changed a ton. I've grown a little bit. I've matured a lot. And in that point in my life and going to the game, I knew that I wanted to get to the end no matter what, no matter who I had to step on, no matter what I had to do. I was willing to be cutthroat, make big moves, and I wanted to keep it real and play a fun game.
So let's say, you know, on Survivor, they always ask these like hypotheticals. I figured it'd be a little fun. Jared, let's say Jared doesn't take Desiree, you know, takes Jalen to the end. And Desiree is now in the jury. How many people would vote for Jalen?
Probably me.
It's possible Rebecca might vote for Jalen. I don't know.
Yeah, there are some people here that aren't here, but
Keandre would not, Corey would not, and Kyle would not. But Kyle wasn't there anyway.
Okay, so I wanna bounce this to Travis. So Travis, what would make you change your mind and then vote for Jalen in that scenario instead of Jared?
I think I would want to give credit to the person that got me out. To validate, like, going. You know, it's like if he got me out that early and he won the game, then he did it for the right reasons. And so I would have definitely voted for him.
So are we deciding I made a good decision then?
Yeah.
So actually that brings me to something that that was asked. Tristan Hollingshead asks, Jared, why did you decide to swear on your brother's grave? And worse, go back on your word.
I'm done.
Okay. Well, I guess the best thing I can say to that is context, right? Can I take a little bit?
Of course, give us context, like what happened there.
So again, context, like it sort of didn't happen like on the show, like we didn't get the whole, you know, me and Jalen were on this like morning walk with sunrise or whatever.
Yeah, it was really, really early and it was cold that night, so we went for a walk.
Yeah, exactly. And it like came up and he was like, you know, hey, we gotta make this swear or whatever, and I was like, okay, you swear on your mom. And
I brought it up. I asked them to swear on his dead brother's grave because I knew that, I mean, it was a low
that you could use it later.
No, this, like, I know one thing for sure, right? If I win immunity or somehow get to the end, Jalen will vote for Desiree and Desiree will vote for Jalen, right? So they're not jury votes that I'm going for because I know they're tight. So I can be as scummy as I want to these people. Two, I know that Jalen and Desiree both have a shot to beat me, and are both like in some way considering taking me. So from my perspective, if I want them to take me, they have to think 100% that I'm taking them, because if they know I'm not going to take them, that's going to hurt their perspective of me, and they're not going to want to take me because they're going to like me less.
Can we have a question? Can we have a question about if Evan makes it to the final two? Does he win? Because I know the answer.
Yeah, of course he does.
Travis, do you remember when we were trolling the whole time? Like me, you, and Corey were joking that if Evan and Darren make it to the end, we're just gonna vote for Darren just because it would like kill everything about this.
Yeah, I know. That comes from a deep, bitter place. But...
Wait, so
And I guess that would be funny somehow.
Why so serious?
I need to be a little bit of the villain. I'm gonna be a villain.
I have Evan as my little spy.
For now, we don't know if we can trust Evan.
He is the most conniving little 15-year-old I have ever came across.
Let's put a smile on that face.
I'm gonna do whatever it takes to win.
So Evan, do you think that you were making, I guess, enemies as you were voting people out? I mean, throughout the season, you seem to really care about what people thought of you as you went to the jury.
Okay, I don't know. I mean, my problem was, of course, you know, I played way too hard, and I admit that, and I did probably make some enemies along the way. But at the same time, I really did think that I was in a good position, and I really did think that if I made it to the end, I would deserve to win, because with the positions that I put myself in, I had almost everyone around me who trusted me. And that, at the end of the day, was good for me and would propel me further. Now, I could have definitely gone it a couple different ways, and I could have not hurt some people the way I did. Like, I feel bad. I hurt Steph. I hurt people by getting rid of them. But
do you think it was possible for you to like not hurt them? Because it seems like everyone wanted to work with you, so it almost seemed inevitable.
I don't know. I guess a lot of people did gravitate towards me, which was really good for my game. But I'll be the first to admit that I kind of led Stephanie on, you know, a little bit, and I wish I wouldn't have done that.
I just feel it's hard for me to picture a scenario where Evan loses, because like Survivor, like, first of all, we're all fans of the show, and we all know it's a game where you're signing up to manipulate each other basically and to be sneaky, and I don't see how Evan would have lost for being the best at that, basically, because he played a really good game. And I mean, like, Evan versus Jalen would have been a cool final because they both had their own like style of being sneaky and getting around. But other than that, like, I can't, like, who else outplayed Evan? He was awesome.
I think a lot of it has to do with age and life experience also. So a lot of it had to do with Evan being the youngest one out there, and that probably had a lot to do with how he played the game and how we all reacted to him playing the game. So like me, for example, like may have taken it a bit more personally.
So I want to ask Desiree, since you were also someone else that got really close to Evan, but unlike everyone else, you're the one who ended up voting him out and got him out. Afterwards, Evan didn't seem really bitter. In fact, he voted for you to win the game. So how do you think, is it different because you guys are younger?
I think, yeah, me, Jalen, and Evan being younger, it did help with the bond, but I appreciate Evan not being bitter since I voted for him in that tribal council to go against Jalen. I mean, if it would have been flip-flopped, I don't think I would have been bitter against Evan. I just think that it was like an understanding relationship. He's sweet, so we just kind of became friends. He's just a nice person. I mean, I made friends, I guess, with everybody that was younger. So, I guess me and Evan's friendship was just bound to happen.
I mean, you also had like this connection with Jalen. Both of you made this deal to the final two, though on the actual episode, it seemed that Jalen wanted to take Jared to the finals at first. Maybe Jalen can clarify that a little bit.
One, Desiree and I, she was like my best friend out there, and we had a bond since day one. It was really funny because the first day, I was like, when she picked the tribe, I was like, dang, she picked a young person, like the three oldest people playing the game. So it's gonna be really interesting. And then, so we immediately hit it off because we were the two young ones. And so I wanted to go to the end with her. And two, because I felt like I had a better chance of beating her over Jared.
Travis, I know you were the first one out, so you didn't get as many days out there as the other people. But I remember one of your comments in one of the episodes mentioned, despite being on the jury, it was really interesting to see how the game played out. Like, looking back, do you think you would have voted differently? Do you have a different perspective now after watching it back?
Well, I remember watching some of the episodes, and in fact, the one where Corey went, Jared was incredibly paranoid and kind of came off really wimpy, and I don't know, he didn't have a backbone, and I was kind of concerned at that point, oh no, did I make the wrong decision? But
wait, so in the beginning, you were, I believe Darren called you the fire master. You made fire immediately on the first day. Paya didn't have it until the next day. You guys were able to make a really sturdy shelter. You guys were helping each other. You guys were bonding. But then you were trying to vote out Darren.
Darren was always talking about how worried he was about Evan, and it just kind of got on my nerves. So it made sense for me. I had this weird feeling right before Tribal Council started. I was just everyone's being so weird to me right now.
What's really funny is that everybody on our tribe, I told Darren and Desiree I found the idol. The only person who didn't know was Rebecca.
Jalen found the idol. Watch out, bitches!
After you busted me out for having the idol, I was thank you, Jesus, that I told Desiree and Darren, so they're not gonna be mad at me.
That would have been bad otherwise, yeah.
Michael Swank asks, had you and Jalen teamed up in the beginning, how would that have gone, or was that just not even possible?
Well, I was very kind of tunnel vision anyways, thinking that we were in a 3-person group, so I kind of just thought Darren would have been the easiest one to get rid of.
Jalen, you're ultimately the one who did decide to go with Desiree and Darren, and you turned on Travis and Rebecca. So do you think that's what maybe propelled you to gain a really powerful position in the game?
Okay, well, I played the game really hard, really quickly. That's why the first day I made 2 Final 3 alliances that brought me in the middle, so I can make the decisions. And I played such a bold game.
So, another big character in the season was Stephanie. A lot of people even likened you to Eliza on the show with your epic eye rolls and flicking of the hair. So you pair up with Corey. How did that come about? What was going on there?
Okay, so night 1, we don't have fire and we're all really cold. And Corey and I were the only 2 people left in the shelter, and I was cold, and then we just became really close, and it just worked its way through the rest of the game.
So Kapaya goes into the merge with numbers. So what happened? What, you ended up on the jury?
You saw what happened. You saw what happened. I put myself in a bad spot. Corey and I kind of isolated ourselves without realizing it. And in doing that, we had our closest ally, the so-called winner of this game, jump ship and ditch us and decide that we were not in his best interest. And so therefore the so-called Kapaya 5 was not tight going into the merge, and that was basically what screwed us, is their 3 was a lot tighter than our 5 was.
I'm actually surprised hearing Stephanie say that I was the tight ally to Corey and Stephanie, because I was convinced it was Evan, even though I think I was closer to Corey. He and I got along real well. But so maybe the problem there was just communication, whereas I thought they were tight with Evan.
Like I said, we were not a tight 5. If we were a tight 5, we would have been able to stick together.
Mm-hmm.
Opinions on alliances was not really the question. The question was, why didn't we stick together? And it was because our 5 really didn't get along well enough to stick together. We were not a cohesive group. We were not all one alliance. There were cracks in the alliance that the 3 of them were easily able to find. And that was our fault for not making sure that we went into the merge a tight group. And we could have tried a lot harder to do that, and we didn't try and do that, like, at all. And it was all of our faults combined for not trying harder to go in as a tight 5.
I would agree with that.
So, Evan, I mean, you were part of that decision-making progress of who was going to make it further and who wasn't at the merge.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened. What was going through your mind?
I was kind of dumb a little bit, I guess. I was at a merge, and I had this Final 3 alliance with Jared and Keandre, and I also had Stephanie. But on the other side, I had my dad, I had Desiree, who I was getting really close with, and I had Jalen. And I guess looking back at it, it was probably maybe not the smartest thing for me to go to them, but in my head, I really thought that I was in a good position whenever I went with the people that I went with.
Stephanie, you didn't just go through like Jared's bag. You found like the idols. Like what happened in that situation? It was during the
Okay,
immunity.
well, let's go back. Okay, so when I go out of the challenge, Evan is like, hint, hint, Steph, look what I like have. I'm like watching Jared's stuff right now. So that gives me a minute to just like sneakily look through, and lo and behold, he left it in his jeans pocket. So there you go.
Jared, why didn't you play the idol on me?
Yeah, Jared, you don't play the idol on me either.
God.
I mean, Travis
just-
could use that idol day one.
No,
You didn't play Travis.
I'm more...
Stephanie to this day believes I should have played my
Who
idol.
told you that one? During Tribal Council, I look at Jared, I point to his pocket, and I'm literally telling him to hand me the freaking idol.
No, that wasn't gonna happen.
And then Jared just...
Well, Jared, when
That I was getting
people
rid of
ask
that.
you, like, or tell you things that, like, you should have done, like, what's your response? As to
I won.
what?
Like, whatever I did worked.
How was it in terms of like the conditions? Like it was raining so hard. Look, can you describe that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard. It rained hard, and like, I mean, we had a tree fall over near
my
our
God.
camp. Like,
Wait,
we just-
Jaylee,
go ahead.
you also mentioned there was like a black widow spider. Like, is that true or?
Oh my gosh, yeah. That was on like Desiree's blanket where we all like slept under.
And
And it was
Desiree, yeah, that's a black widow spider.
We all flipped out. We didn't care at that point how much time we put into making that camp. We stripped that camp down in like 2 seconds, moved it. We were sleeping on the grass. We slept nowhere near that campsite. But also with conditions, like the first night, they almost had to pull us back in the like where the jury people stay, the Ponderosa, because it was like a tornado watch. And so the storms were bad. Like they were really bad.
How bad was the poison ivy, Jared? It seemed like only you and Corey got it. I didn't see anyone else.
It wasn't only me and Corey, because we, being the like smart, cool bros that we were, found this secret path through the woods. Like we could have gone on the path, but we're like, nah, bro, let's go through the trees, dude. And we did, and I was shirtless all the time, so it was really bad.
My favorite aspect was that my 2 closest allies both had poison ivy, so of course, like, a week or so after the game ends, it finally kicks in on me, and I, like, come home, and, like, I have, like, random splotches of poison ivy where they had, like, joined in warming me in the night, and I was like, oh my god.
Travis, since you were like the first one out, what would you tell someone who's about to play season 2?
You can't turn away from people. You have to have conversations with them. And if anything, I wish I would have been more social and a little bit more aggressive.
And well, Stephanie,
You can't overthink things. You have to kind of just go with your gut. If your gut tells you not to trust someone, don't trust them. If your gut tells you to trust someone, trust them.
So Jalen, you came really close and then didn't win. So what would be your advice?
One thing that I replay over and over in my mind is that final challenge. Never lose focus in a challenge. Look for that idol. And last thing is be ruthless. You're probably never going to see these people again, So do not let your emotions get in the way. At the end of the day, if you lose because your emotions got in the way, it was your own fault.
Wait, so Jared, it's hard to say like what you could have done differently since you won.
Regardless of the round, you need to look at the game as a whole, right? Like, pretend you're watching it on TV. I think it's Malcolm who's always like...
That might have been Jason Siska.
It's more... yeah, he's smart. What I felt like I did really well, and maybe better than everyone else in the game, was just, like, keeping your options open and not committing to anything, right? Keep everyone as an option. Even if you know you're not together, make sure you're talking to them and acting like they're your best friend.
And now we have Amos, the host of Survivor Reelfoot Lake.
I thought it was a huge success compared to all the setbacks that we had. So I'm just glad that it turned out the way it did. I consider it a huge success.
So how did you get the idea?
Well, I've always loved Survivor and I love everything about it. So I had put together a one-day event with some friends and family, and we had a really good time that day, and then I got the chance to actually go to LA and go through the casting process for one of the seasons.
Oh, which season?
So, Survivor 21 Nicaragua. So I was sitting out there and I was like, I could do this. Like, this isn't very hard. So I got home and planned one.
Wait, did you see anyone that was in that season, like during the casting process?
From previous seasons, I saw Kelly and Paloma from Survivor Gabon, and I was able to be in a group with Eve and Jill and I think Purple Kelly from that season. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, so what did you think of Jared and like how he's the winner? Like
when we first started out there, I didn't see Jared as a winner, but he had a great underdog story, and I thought that was really great that the underdog was able to come out on top.
Okay, so what about the other players? Like Desiree, she came in second.
I don't think she quite knew what she was getting herself into. I remember the first tribal council she went to, she didn't even know that you had to vote people off. She really grew as a player. I was able to see throughout the week. She really became a threat to win.
So who do you think was the best player?
It was really, for me, it would be a toss-up. Jalen was able to basically plow through anybody who was in his way, and Evan was young and likable, but Evan was a little bit more worried about hurting people's feelings, and Jalen didn't care about that.
Who do you think was the best character?
Hands down, it was probably Stephanie. Stephanie has a lot to say, and she likes to be heard when she wants to say something. So Stephanie inside the game is the same as Stephanie outside the game. So I mean, she's a character in life and she's a character in this game. So.
So I want to talk about on the season. You can't really see how much the elements affect the players, but you were there, so maybe you can kind of share how it was to live under those conditions.
It was really bad out there, actually. We didn't have the night camera to be able to show it, but it was a torrential downpour to the point where I actually contemplated on bringing them in, because, this is Survivor, but, there were tornado warnings, and, it was pretty bad out there. So everybody was wet. Nothing was dry.
And what advice would you give to anyone that's coming on board for season 2, all these new players that are going to arrive in a few days?
First off, I would say, be prepared, because we are expecting storms at least 2 days out of the week, next week. But advice I would give would just be, enjoy the experience while you can. It's a really fun experience. We try to give everybody the full Survivor experience we can. So just enjoy the experience and come prepared to play. We've got some players coming out. So.
All right. Well, I think that's it. Thanks, Amos, for coming on and
learn how to make fire. You never know when it'll come in handy.
The end.